welcome to 1989. We're going to talk about Leviathan, a movie directed by George P. Cosmatos, and it's often kind of compared to the likes of Alien and The Abyss, but it's probably a lot more like John Carpenter's The Thing. Basically, the story focuses on a group of deep-sea miners, and there's about, I think it's around 8 of them, and they kind of have been working for a long time, deep beneath the ocean surface, on the floor here. And they basically have some kind of industrial drilling operation, and they come across a kind of wreck of an old Russian ship, and actually probably do have a little bit of a look inside, and they find out that these guys have been doing some kind of genetic mucking around with some aquatic life, and one of their crew gets kind of affected with what they think initially is some kind of virus, but it soon turns out it's something a little bit more sinister. And as you'd expect of this kind of movie, the kind of creature effects creep in, and we have these sort of turning into basically a massive slobbering monster that which to kill the rest of the crew. And then from there on, it's a kind of the dwindling crew members trying to escape this kind of creature that's kind of hunting them kind of around this kind of very sort of limited space around this base. So the comparisons to The Thing basically are obviously the same sort of setup with The Thing. Basically, you have a small group of people trapped in a very sort of isolated area. Very much like that movie, and the same sort of type of monster as well, to be quite honest. I mean, the difference here is that in the movie The Thing, I mean, I'm talking about the 1982 remake, is that the creature could mimic humans basically, and kind of look like human. And this creature doesn't do that in this movie. It does actually absorb the human victims and absorb some of their intelligence and some of their attributes, but doesn't look like them. It's always a monster, but the monster kind of changes shape, a little bit like the Thing creature does in that movie as well. Now, I have to say, this is a pretty underrated movie, I have to say. It's an enjoyable film, and if you're a fan of those sort of movies, especially like The Thing, you're probably going to like this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, it is not as good as those films. There's a couple of reasons why I say that. First of all, the effects themselves, although they are pretty impressive, they're not as good as the other films that I've mentioned, particularly The Thing. And there are some some logic issues here as well. It just appears to be a little bit dumber than some of the other movies. For example, one guy basically is kind of infected, and literally within seconds he's got like a creature, like a mouth in his hand with kind of teeth in it and stuff like that, and he doesn't know that it's in there, but you would feel that. It wouldn't just happen like in an instant. It doesn't, not logically possible. And then if you're looking at another example here, just after the crew are kind of exposed to the sort of first attack, one of the kind of crew decides she wants to have a jog around the station with her headphones on, all on her own. I mean, why would you do that? Because there are some kind of logic issues here as well. It does kind of follow some sort of familiar tropes, and it has a few of the cliches in it. I mean, it's pretty obvious, for example, who are going to be the survivors on this kind of mission. You've also got a subplot here involving the actual company that owns the sort of military, or this kind of, not military, this industrial station, and an attempt to cover up here, but that's not really explored, and it's not really made clear if the company's aware of what's going on or not, so I would have liked to have seen a little bit more sort of exploration with that kind of stuff. But if you're looking for a kind of an action-packed monster film with some kind of reasonable GUI effects, some good actors here. You've got Ernie Hudson, you've got Peter Weller, Amanda Pays. Although I don't think Amanda Pays is the most brilliant actor, but there you go. But the rest of the cast, I think, do a pretty good job here. Though there are some sort of fairly stereotypical characters, but it is an enjoyable film. It's the effects, although not as good, they are worth seeing. And you've got to bear in mind, this is a 1989 film, so don't expect anything by today's standards, but it's obviously all practical back then, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I will look forward to seeing it next time. Bye for now.